Hey everyone, Mistik here, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be getting into the second episode of the Graal era job guides. In this series, I go over the ins and outs of every job in Graal era so you can do each one in the most efficient way. At the end of the series, I hope it will be clear which job is the best for gaining gralats and for getting shells respectively. If you guys haven't already checked out the premiere episode on digging, I will recommend you guys to go check it out as it will help you earn more shells faster. Now regarding today's episode, we're going to be checking out one of the most little known jobs in Graal era, grape crushing and picking. Within the episode, I will be going over what grape crushing and picking actually is, how to do it in the most efficient way, and finally the cold hard stats on how many gralats and shells you can gain from doing the jobs. Without further ado, let's get into it. Starting out with what the job actually is, grape crushing and picking is a two-step job that was introduced quite quietly about a year ago or so with the addition of the new map area, Italy. You can get to Italy in one of two ways. The first is by going to the bridge and entering inside of it just the midway point. Here you'll find a gondola, and by grabbing it you will instantly be teleported to Italy. Once you're there, to actually get to the grape area, you must go down to the bottom of the Italy map and go left until you find a staircase. From there, go north to the top of the map and right until you find a house with a particularly interesting NPC outside. Within that house, you will find a grape crushing area, and just above the house, you will find the area to pick grapes themselves. The second way to access Italy is through the Era Fashion building just left of the start area. Here is a one-way teleporter to Italy, which is highly recommended over going there manually. Now that everyone knows where the grape areas are, let's discuss how you actually do the job. To gain gralats, you must crush grapes inside the building using the grape crushing station. You will need 40 grapes per crush. Once you grab one, you will begin crushing grapes, and you will need to click the screen in specific indicated places around 8 to 14 times. Once finished, you'll be rewarded from anywhere between 5 and 12 gralats and will lose 40 grapes. However, obviously you will need to get grapes to actually be able to crush them. These can be obtained just above the building in which you crush grapes. Here, using a flower basket, you can pick the grapes themselves. Each grape plant takes about 15 to 20 hits to fully pick and yields 10 to 20 grapes. Grapes are also tradable and can usually be purchased for about 30 to 50 grapes per trocus. So now we're going to be getting into the most important part of this video. How much can you really make from grape picking and crushing? Because this is a two-part job, I'm going to be going over a few different ways you can make gralats and shells. There are 4 different ways I'm going to go over. First is grape crushing alone, then grape picking alone, and then the final stats for grape crushing when you either buy or pick the grapes. Starting off, I'm going to be showing the stats for just grape crushing alone. Basically, to get these numbers, I crushed grapes for an hour, and altogether, as you can see, I was able to make 3,092 gralats. Within this time, I ended up crushing a whopping 15,520 grapes. This worked out to be around 338 crushed per hour, meaning each crush yielded 9.1 gralats on average. Considering digging only gave around 1,600 gralats within its 1 hour test, grape crushing seems to be at a whole new level. However, there is one other part associated with this: grape picking. To test grape picking, I once again subjected myself to a 1 hour test of grape picking. Now as you guys can see, this is where grape crushing starts to become less effective. Within the 1 hour, I was only able to pick 4,800 grapes. Considering I used over 15,000 grapes per hour while crushing, this is absolutely detrimental to the job. It would take over 3 hours to actually obtain enough grapes to crush for just 1 hour. As I did say before, however, grapes can be traded, so I also decided to calculate how many trocus per hour you can gain from picking the grapes. Pretty quickly, it's safe to say you should never pick grapes for shells, as going off the 50 grapes per trocus rule, 1 hour of grape picking would yield you a whopping 96 trocus. So now that we have the stats for how many grapes can be crushed and picked per hour, we can finally see how much you really make per hour from doing this job. Starting off, we'll do the calculation with the player both picking and crushing the grapes. Now, obviously, because grapes take so long to pick, these numbers are extremely low. 45 minutes of the hour is actually used to pick grapes, as they do take 3 times as long, while the remaining 15 minutes would be used for crushing them. Because there is so little time to actually crush grapes, you would only be able to crush around 4,000 of them, yielding 773 gralats per hour. This means that both picking and crushing grapes to make gralats is among one of the worst ways to make gralats. However, I did decide to do this test when you actually purchase the grapes for around 50 per 1 shell, and the numbers were significantly different. As we know, you can crush around 15,520 grapes per hour, meaning it would cost us just over 300 trocus to buy them all. This means we just need to subtract the 900 gralat cost of 300 trocus from the final grape crushing numbers to get our gralats per hour from grape crushing while buying the grapes. This ended up coming out to 2,192 gralats per hour. This means that you will gain just under 600 more gralats per hour than digging. This was honestly highly surprising, as literally nobody I know has ever even touched grapes because they were deemed as too tedious and low in reward. Taking a look at our job leaderboard, we will have 2 entries from this episode. The first is Grape Picking and Crushing, coming in at 3rd with a rate of 773 gralats per hour. And our new number 1 gralat making method, taking over digging, is crushing and buying grapes, coming in at just under 2200 gralats per hour. And with that, it's going to be the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like as it helps me out a bunch. Also, comment down below what your thoughts on grape crushing are. Have you ever tried it? And if so, how do you like doing the job in general? I'd love to hear everybody's responses down below. Also, if you have a recommendation on what job I should cover next, please leave that down in the comments section as well. And of course, if you haven't subscribed already, do so, as I keep everyone up to date on Graal news, updates, leaks, item reviews, and much more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.